Hey, I'm live. Sorry about the momentarily being out of focus. I'm trying to get situated here. Um, just waiting for Elly to join us. I don't have a scripture reading today. I'm playing electrician and plumber today and painter and just kind of doing a general punch out list before everything happens in the next 2 days. Um, I was just listening to a video that Cindy sent me on the number of layoffs that are happening in the tech field. And it sounded like this, I didn't get to hear the whole program. It sounded like what was being inferred. Let me try this light too. Oh boy, that's a lot. Yeah, that's better. It sounded like what was being inferred was that Trump went to India to make arrangements for a lot of our technology jobs to go there instead of China. Uh, after all the H-1 visa issues that I described, I think yesterday, from what I learned, about the engineering fields, I'm a little shocked and horrified and full of concern. I've really been since Trump. There's something in my spirit that doesn't sit right about Trump's visit to India, and I have wondered what in the last couple of days has been bothering me. And I think this video, Headlines with a View, today might be what's going on. I had no idea he was making business arrangements, but I will. Thanks, Josephine, for your comment on my hair. The day I get a contract on my house, I figure within 24 hours I am going to go get it cut off. It is down below my waist, and it's almost long enough to sit on. And I've just kind of had it with it. All right, that's a distraction. So thanks, Josephine. Back to the outsourcing of jobs. Lyft, Uber, Walgreens, a lot of their headquarters jobs are being shipped to India. Hey, gorgeous. You look at that sweater. That's pretty. I was talking about the H-1 visas and Trump saying that we need immigration because, we need legal immigration to bring in jobs that we need. And how many companies are laying people off now since December and sending jobs now to India? And that wasn't what we thought Trump was doing. We thought he was bringing our jobs back from China, not to turn around and send them to India, for crying out loud. So I haven't listened enough to this video to know exactly what this person is saying, but it's Headlines with a View. And I'm really curious to see what the rest of this says. I'm certainly concerned. The whole issue of college, free college for everybody. What you were saying, Elly, about people just wanting to stay in college forever if it's free. Now, I will say that the university is free in Finland, but they had a work ethic there so that people were not just staying in school. They were getting jobs, and there might have been a limit to how many degrees you could get there. They might have limited that. They had a lot of people going into the medical field, into nursing, and so on. Well, I don't know what I'm just afraid to say anything and sound racist, and I am not a racist person. I grew up in country that was, I mean, I can count on my fingers the number of white people I ever had an interaction with. So other than family. So it just, you know, one of the things Larry had said, he said that we have to vote Republican, straight Republican ticket this year. We have to. He's concerned, and remind me to say something about the Democrats that are switching to Republican Party, because that's another issue that I've been commenting on with those stories on Facebook. Larry's concerned that if we have a straight one-party rule, it's going to become absolute, and they will continue to do the march towards socialism and communism because they will have absolute power. That we do not want either. But this year, we have got to change the makeup of the House for sure, and we have to keep the Senate, and we have to get rid of more of the rhinos. But the place you get rid of the rhinos is in the primary. The rhinos have got to be the establishment players who've been in for a long time. We know Nunes is good. We know Louis Gohmert. You know, there are questions about a lot of people. Larry says there's issues with Scalise and, you know, people who've been in a while. And he would rather see all of them go, including Nunes and Jim Jordan, because they've been in a while, than to have them continue to become career politicians. I think it would be good. This is my opinion again. I think it'd be good to keep the likes of Jim Jordan. Matt Gaetz, I guess, is not running again. John Ratcliffe has been wonderful. Stefanik, Stefanik is, I guess, it's her last name. She was fabulous in the Intel committee with some of the questions she asked and the truth that she brought forward. So, you know, we have to be paying attention to the down ballot races. And I read something yesterday that Bloomberg had paid in 2018 for a lot of the down ballot races with his billions. Now, whether he was using his own money or whether he was using Soros money, or adding to Soros's money, I don't know. But, you know, we've got some very wealthy people in this world that want our country destroyed. And look what Mayor Bloomberg did in New York after Rudy Giuliani. And it just, anyhow, it just, you know, we've got to vote a Republican ticket, first of all. Now, with that being said, I saw that several of the Democrats in Mississippi are switching their party alliance to the Republicans. Here's my concern with that. In a way, you go, yay, you know, we're going to have Republicans. That's great. They don't like what the Democrats are doing, and they're leaving the Republican Party. Be cautious about these party flips. Remember, under Clinton, so many, when he came into office, there were a lot of Democrats that flipped to the Republican Party. They said the Democrat Party, they had not left the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party had left them. And trying to think of some of the most famous names. And now I'm just drawing a blank. I'm sorry. But I saw that Mississippi had several Democrats that were flipping and becoming Republicans. Now, here's the problem. When they get elected as Republicans, will they vote as Republicans? Or are they going to vote with the Democrats and be like rhinos? Are they going to get into office as Republicans, shut out the Republicans in the primary, and then flip back their party loyalty to Democrats and actually become Democrats again? I don't trust this flipping. I'm concerned about this election, folks. I'm really concerned. We have got to be talking about this. And I'm thankful for the chance to be here, because this is one place that I am giving an hour every day, or more, actually an hour and a half every day. With the conference call I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday night, and then Thursday afternoon after the show, we talk about some of these issues and we spend time in prayer about these issues. So I'm really worried. I'm really concerned. And, you know, prayer, we have to do more than just pray. While I'm talking, I can't be watching the chat, Elly. So thanks for letting you do that. I'll scroll back when I'm done and you take over. Let's see, there was something else I was going to say about that, but I can't remember. Trent Lott. I knew there was a T. Trent Lott was one of the ones who had flipped from Democrat to Republican when Bill Clinton came into office, and he was one of the ones that it's actually Larry's book actually talks about that. So you can get the book from nicholslive.com under the merchandise page. Trent Lott was one of the ones that was a Democrat and flipped to the Republican Party. The other thing, thank you, James, for the reminder. While I'm talking about 28 years to nowhere, I will also say, that Larry's book, Under Attack, he wrote this for the Tea Party in 2014, and it is still, I did confirm with Barb, it is still on the blog of the website, nicholslive.com. If you'd like to read it, you can find it there. Larry and I debated whether to, we had permission to republish it. We were talking about how to do it. Do we make it an ebook and you would, text me to get it and I would email it to you, or what would we do? And you'd, pay for it. And we just decided that he'd collected money from it. And I got permission. We just put it up on the website. So it's there free for you. And if you know anybody who's running for office that you care about, have them go on there and read it, because it's got some interesting ideas. Let me read through some of the chapter titles for you, because it's interesting. How Washington has changed and why. What value does Congress actually have today? Do Americans still have any right? Why the Pledge of Allegiance is a lie? What is the Tea Party? How can it survive now that both national parties have sworn to destroy it? Immigration is not about the jobs, but canceling your vote. What's the role of newspaper, magazines, radio, and the internet? What role does God have in our government today? The righteous are as bold as a lion, and the role each American must play if we're to win back our freedom. So those are the chapter titles. So it's an easy read. This book is large print and 93, 94. Well, no, I left out the afterwards. So it's 85 pages long in this paperback book. And don't forget, you can order. I'm so together. This is such an unprofessional channel. I'm sorry, folks. Thanks for your patience. So the bumper stickers are available at the website. Remember, Monty said that if he will Monty has put up a prayer request. So Monty, we will be praying. We will. And I'm not going to read it unless you give me permission to do that. But I agree, Laura, congratulations, and we will be praying. Monty has said that if you donate $50 to Larry, and we're doing that through Mark's account, and he's the one that sells the t-shirts and helps mail out books and so on. Okay, I'll do that in a minute. So we're using his PayPal account because he's staying in touch with the family and is able to pass on whatever needs to be passed on. So we're using his PayPal account for anybody who donates. And if you donate at least $50, send me your screenshot from PayPal into the text that's written there, And I will contact Monty, and he will add an additional donation, and we'll have a book sent to you. So Monty's prayer request here is he has a new grandson. The daughter was taking a medication, and the baby is addicted to it. So be praying for this little baby. RJ are his initials. So please pray for RJ. That's rough on a newborn. But yeah, and Monty will throw in a bumper sticker as well. He'll pay for the bumper sticker if you donate at least $50 to Larry. I know there have been a couple of people who've donated that probably already have the book. If you have somebody you'd like to give a book to and want one, we'll provide that one as well if you already have it. Being withdrawn off morphine, little guy, that's going to be rough. What was I going to say? How's Larry? Somebody asked, how's Larry? Okay, I did contact Mark today to ask. He has not heard anything. He's made a couple phone calls or calls or text messages to a relative, not to Larry's wife, but to a relative to see what's going on and to ask for an update, and he has gotten no response. Now, Larry's best friend, now Mark is one of Larry's best friends, but the one that's actually in town, Mark contacted him, and he has not gone to try and visit. He said that he felt to do anything more right now would be intruding on their privacy, and he is just trying to give them privacy for whatever they are dealing with. So prayers continue. I've had a few really strong gut reactions that have lasted about an hour almost every day this week. They've been at different times of the day. And I always wonder when that happens, if something's going on with Larry. And I ask the Lord, I'm feeling something's happening. What should I be praying for? And I ask the Lord to guide my prayers. So, every time I talk to the Lord about Larry, God says, praise me for what I'm doing. And that's where I'm at. And so I'm just passing that on to you. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. I realized this morning, as Elly and I have said, that we will be here for the duration until Larry can come back. I realize the incredible opportunity for a platform this is. And so, as long as we have people willing to be here and listen and interact with us, I think we both will, continue to be here. Now, when I'm driving cross country, when I'm ready to move, it'll be a little hard to stop and do a show. So I may or may not be able to do that, but we'll see when that time comes. It's nothing scheduled yet, but there are some rumblings that it may be not too far off. So, all right, talked about the visas. I talked about the party flipping. I talked to somebody in Texas yesterday who is gravely concerned. The things that are happening around Austin. There's just a real influx of Democrats, and it just seems like the Democrats are really, really, really pushing to flip Texas. And the governor had a town hall by phone this week. And I think it was Monday night, but I'm not positive. I can't remember what night. She said, well, today's Wednesday, so I talked to her last night, so it must have been Monday night. Because I think it was this week. So the governor is very concerned and realizes that, the Christian community has sat on their duff a little too long. We expect God to work for us, and we forget that God does his work mostly, not exclusively, but mostly through people. He uses people. And so, yes, there was that one time where the angel of the Lord went through the enemy camp. I think it was Sennacherib's enemy camp. And, the lepers that were outside the city said, there was no food. They had been under siege and for, I think, 3 years, and there was no food there. And they said, we can stay here because we can't go into the city to get food. They don't have food in the city anyhow. We might as well go out to the enemy camp and see if we can pick off some food somehow, some way, so that we can survive. And they got to the enemy camp and it was empty. And things were strewn everywhere as if they had rushed away. And, the word is that the angel of the Lord had gone through and slaughtered the enemy and, routed them. And so the Israelites were, the Jews were free. So, yes, there are times when God does something absolutely supernatural and miraculous on our behalf. But most of the time, we have got to step up and cooperate. So there I am. It's been 20 minutes, Elly, and I threw in a couple of Bible verses and Bible lessons along the way anyway, even though I didn't have a passage preordained because I've been trying to get this punch-out list punched out. But, oh, my goodness, the delays on everything I'm trying to do. So done a little bit of painting, a little bit of plumbing. I got a little more plumbing and electric to do this afternoon still. So let's watch the time and not go over because I got to work while I still have daylight. So.
Yeah, and I'm doing my I couldn't do my morning show because I had kids, and because my daughter had to do some legal stuff. So I'm having my show after this show. So I'll be doing like 2 hours worth or more. It depends on how long I go with my show, but
well,
I'm running it.
You're welcome to stop early because I'm chomping at the bit to get back to.
Are you kidding? I like these folks.
I know I do too, and
I'm gonna drag them out for 2 hours.
I've got plumbing and electrical work that has to be done while I have daylight. So,
is that what happened to your braid?
Went down the drain. No,
I working on that electrical and it zapped that braid right out of your hair.
Look, it's really long, Yeah, it was a mess, and so I just kind of pulled the braid out and didn't have time to do anything more with it because I was just trying to get this. Well, actually, I was trying to reset a toilet, so I still got to go down and get that one straight.
So anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna one of these days I'll just stretch everybody out for a few hours. I'll just keep yakking. Oh, my big concern that was on the news today is Pennsylvania's got fumes, and they say it's a mixture. Fumes. The people in, let's see, what towns is it? Let me see. The Mystery Smell, it says. It's in Glen Olden and Darby. And it's a smell of in between fuel and sulfur. And when I heard that, and they said people are even afraid to like strike any matches or lighters because it smells like fuel. And I got a couple of friends up there in Pennsylvania, thank goodness, it's up around there. One in Darby. And she said that the rumors coming out of there is they have multiple gas wells leaking from fracking. And, that was my first thing. I said, it's fracking. It's fracking wells, isn't it? I said, because that's what it sounds, sounds like the smell is. And she said, yeah, that's the rumors coming out. And they're going to bring in officials from like multiple states around Pennsylvania to investigate it. And she thinks they're going to bring in the top officials to have to go back through and make sure all the caps are on. And, that's scary, because, I don't think there's any volcanoes in Pennsylvania, thank goodness. You see, my fear is that happening out on the West Coast where they're drilling into the sides of volcanoes. And they do that a lot across the United States. And my fear is they'll end up with that, what was the name of that town? The one that's still burning, the coal mines that kept burning.
I don't know but where that is, but there's going to be a lot more of that coming because the magma at the center of the earth is heating up.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's going to be more and more of the coal mines that are going to
I think it's more the earth is heating up due to the fracking that's drilling into the volcanoes, because that's given them more vents to move. And when I looked into volcanoes and how they tend to like burn vents and go through the vents, and when the vents become active, it warms the planet up. And this has been my fear forever, is this either causing a volcano to blow or causing all them wells to catch on fire. And it's really worrisome on that, because California's got quite a few volcanoes, and about 94% of the volcanoes around the world are active right now in one form or another. Either they're rumbling, smoking, spewing ash, or lava. And
there was a big eruption in Japan this morning.
And so, and how active the earth is right now with earthquakes, and they're erratic. You'll get, normally, I'll give you guys a little brief thing on earthquakes. Normally, when you get an earthquake, they say it's like a rubber band. You pull it back and it snaps, and you'll get your big one. Let's say a 6.0, and then you'll get your aftershocks for a few days, and then it like follows the fault line up a little further to where it'll cause another one. And what it's doing is it's not only going up the track and causing another big one, but it's staying there. Like in Puerto Rico, we've seen, and it has nonstop aftershocks that shouldn't be happening. And the aftershocks is actually triggering another big one. And Puerto Rico is a perfect example, because they had a 5.1, and it should have went away, and it started on the aftershocks, and it goes down from like your 4s to your 3s to your 2s, and then normally it just kind of goes away. Well, as we've seen, it got hit again with a 4.7 to over 5, and then it started back down again, and then it hit a third round where another big one hit. And that's very troublesome, because that's not usually what it's been doing. And you can pretty much figure out the earthquakes just by studying them for a very, very long time. And usually if you get one big earthquake and you get one, let's say, north of it, let's say 100 miles, and you get another big one, normally you'll see another one either the same size or a little bit less in between the two. And then it'll go, on either goes up and around on the ring of fire, or it'll go out and branch on the smaller fault lines. So this is very concerning, because everything is really rumbling. And you can get in between a 1.7 and a 2.5 for fracking. And then we have HARP. I don't know if everybody knows about HARP. HARP will cause a steady 2.0 on the earth, and it can cause it anywhere. And HARP, I believe there's 3 of them now, or maybe even 4. So every country has one, to where they can even cause earthquakes here, and we can cause earthquakes there. So, you know, it's really scary what we have created to cause our earth to go into climate change. And I don't think it is climate change due to the ozone. I believe it's more climate change due to fracking and drilling and HARP. And, you know, so I think the seasons are off. And not only that, we had the chemtrails that were spraying. So that was even causing issues. So our planet is pretty screwed up. And when Trump stopped the chemtrails and he put restrictions on HARP and some of the drilling, which is odd because you know, we're drilling for oil and gas, which we're trying to become self-sufficient. But he said there's a point when you go overboard and you just can't do it and you need to cut back. And everybody says, oh, well, he's the one that's done all the oil pipelines. And, you know, no, you would not believe what Obama did for fracking. There is thousands and upon thousands of fracking wells. Texas, it looks like suburbs there from space, or when you start zooming down GPS, it looks like it's a suburb. But then when you zoom down, it's actually oil, the oil and the fracking wells. And I mean, it's just massive amounts. Like in one area, there could be 1,000. And it is crazy how overboard Obama administration went to fracking. And so I think, you know, that's what happened in Pennsylvania. And it should worry a lot of us because fracking is in every state. And when Obama administration and those companies that went through, they did it in a hurry. And it was companies like the one that Weissman took over. Another one was one that Cheney had. And they just went really crazy because they did the fracking here. So I went up to investigate. And I actually got kicked out twice of being Snoopy. And what I found out was they're in such a rush to get the wells in to be able to get all that money through that they actually put in a hurry before Obama got out of office for the last 3 years, so that he could make all that money. And it was like, well, you know, I don't think he should have been making money. The company should have been making money. So, you know, that's something on and off I kind of looked into. So, you know, to see if he was skimming off the top like they've done with the other resources around the world. But he really, he got it to where they went in such a hurry. I think the caps aren't right. I used to have a really close friend. Her husband used to do the fracking and check the wells. And he said, you know, up until when Obama went in, that, you know, they did it slow, they did it steady, they did it right. They used very expensive and better materials. And then when Obama come in, he cut the cost for the materials. So it was cheaper materials, cheaper labor, and people that really didn't know what they were doing. So this is worrisome because Pennsylvania was one of the first hardcore fracking they did. And I believe Arkansas was too. So, you know, I keep my nose out for, because it's not too far up north of me where they did a lot of the fracking.
That doesn't bode well for Arkansas if what's the big fault there outside of St. Louis? The New Madrid fault?
New Madrid. Yeah, it's over in Memphis. We don't, I have felt one here they had up north, and it was like a 3.0, but it was like dead center in the middle of all the fracking. And when I heard that, I was like, and then they started having a few more, and then it stopped. It was like for a summer long, we were having little itty bitty earthquakes up where they were fracking. And then it had all of a sudden stopped. And that's when I kind of called a friend of mine that it's another friend that her husband was moving the water out or moving the water trucks for the fracking. And she said that they had stopped and they had moved him over to Oklahoma. So, and now Oklahoma's having earthquakes all the time. It's really amazing. And what worries me is California went silent at the beginning of this week. And that's not like the whole West Coast to go quiet. Oregon doesn't really report theirs, but California and Washington are really good about reporting earthquakes. And we got some really good, strong ones in South America and a few in Mexico. And there was a bunch up in Alaska. And none for the West Coast from Washington down. And that is just, to me, quiet means something. It's like little kids when they go quiet, you're like, okay, what are they up to? And that's kind of, but I can't quite say that it's going to have any big earthquakes or if it's going to, something big is going to happen. It's just unusual, and I don't know, I've studied earthquakes with Dutch sense for a very, very long time and then did some on my own. And, I don't know what to think of it going quiet. I just don't know what is going to happen. And, with an earthquake, you just don't know with the fault lines. It can snap or it could just go back to little rumbles like it was.
Well, you're saying that nearly all the volcanoes in the world are doing something. That's actually a very, very good thing. Because, when a really big one blows, it can affect the whole world with the jet stream and trade wind. So that this little bits here and there are really important for helping to relieve the pressure in the earth so that we don't have the huge blowout. Because that just is devastating, not only locally, but elsewhere. Kansas earthquakes. Yeah, that's probably from fracking too, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were supposed to be on a solid continental plate so that the earthquakes were supposed to happen, on the edge. For example, the West Coast, but
yeah,
fracking really cracked our planet a lot.
Yeah, and it was the massive amount. I agree with I believe it was the EPA and oh my goodness, I can't think of the name of the government program. It was kind of like the climate change people, and then Trump even admitting that they overdid it in Obama's. They just somebody got greedy, and I'm hoping he'll shut a few of them down, to be honest, because I don't like much for the fracking. I know it's making us self-sufficient for gas, and I know the oil, when they do the oil wells, I don't think abundance of them would be very good. I mean, we need to figure out the supply we need for the country, and then start cutting back, because that's just too much. That's just way too much.
He said, Trump said in his, I got echo there. Trump said in his press conference yesterday that he had sold a bunch of our oil to India. So,
Yeah.
I guess that's a good thing. But on the other hand, speaking of Jason was texting me or emailing me. We emailed quite a bit back and forth this morning. He was asking about Larry and quite concerned and wondering how to contact them and so on. And, he was a little upset that we've heard nothing. So we just, I encouraged him. I said, we have to trust God. God knows what he's doing. He has a good plan, and we have to trust that plan, and we just have to be patient. It's going to be a while before he can come back. And I pray he does come back. I expect he will. I'm hoping he will. But, that's up to the Lord. So in the meantime, Elly and I are here. Gloria mentioned Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense, episode 10. I had just seen that episode 10 came up. I didn't see it in time to watch it before our show, but the continuing saga of the Biden greed and so on. And you were talking about kickback to Obama. Oh my goodness. What Rudy Giuliani is revealing. Please remember, folks, the Bidens are not the only ones who've done this.
No.
This is Schiff. This is Feinstein. This is McConnell. This is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham's is with the military complex.
I do shows on those, Mary Ellen. I've been doing shows on I'm tracking them right now. I'm watching Adam Schiff on doing the same thing. They get into the country. Soros brings in the protesters. The protesters cause the downfall of the government. Like someone let's say Soros jumps in. He finds where the resources are. He makes sure they throw out whoever's in charge. They help a dictator go into place. Then they start their oil it's oil, gas, or minerals, diamonds or gems or whatever they can get. And then, of course, they start stealing the money. And of course, they promise it's for the people. But then it never does go for the people. It goes in their pocket. And, I mean, the Clintons did it a lot. And then the Obamas and them have done it. And Soros has done it. And like you said, Feinstein, Kerry, and all of them know how to do this now. And the only one I haven't seen do this has been Nadler, Schumer, and Schiff. I'm still trying to track, see if they own, are CEO to some of these boards. No, but see now Biden and Kerry changed their system because now their kids are doing it. They're putting it in their kids' names so you can't find them as easily. And some of them are even putting their daughters in under married names.
Well, the question that I heard raised yesterday, it wasn't by Rudy, it was somebody else, was asking about Hunter Biden and said, because he's with the lawsuit there, the paternity lawsuit there in Arkansas, he's not wanting to expose where his money is, and he's claiming he doesn't have any more. And somebody said, well, we need to be able to see that paper trail, his money trail, not necessarily paper, but the money trail, because it may have been distributed all over the Biden family.
So, yeah, and when I seen all the, that's where I said I was checking WikiLeaks out, and I was seeing the WikiLeaks back and forth from Adam Schiff to a oil company in Pakistan. And so I'm waiting to see what happens in Pakistan. And, if that's the one he's going to make his millions off of, I'd like to kind of be able to drop the story before it happens. And, just because, maybe it'll prevent another city or a community that's going to be robbed. Because, that's what they do. The people don't get nothing. And, it's third world countries, and they're so poor and they don't have nothing. And then they have this hope. Oh, you found oil, we're all going to be okay. And then they take the money and leave. And leave they even go to the point where they set all up And then when they don't want it no more, or it's not going to make them enough money and they can find another one, they just close it down and tear it all up so it can't really be used again, of whatever they're drilling or digging for, and they just destroy it to where the people can't make money, and then of course they're gone. And it's kind of like what Giuliani's explaining with Ukraine. And when I was looking into John Solomon, when they started mentioning that about Burisma, it was like, I've heard this story before. And then I had realized it, with the Clintons. And it's like, you know what? Here we go. Now Biden made his money, and I think Kerry and a few of them, they're making their money off the uranium mines. I think that's where theirs is coming from, because Kerry and Feinstein and I want to say even Obama had made, and of course Hillary Clinton, because she sold the uranium to him, and so did Obama. And I really believe that that's what they're doing, and they're trying to make all this money out of Iran, or selling Iran the uranium. And then, once they get caught, then they're just going to go back to what they were doing and saying, oh, it's for the good. We're only using it for the good. We're not doing anything harmful or selling it for nuclear war. And it's just sad. It's like, you were talking about at the beginning of the show of these term limits. And a lot of the times they will have the people with the petitions out in front of when you vote for term limits. They're always out there. I hunt them down because I always want to sign. And every time I sign, it's like, when are they going to do and finally do term limits? And then I realized, well, it's got to go through Congress. And of course, it ain't going to make it through Congress. Of course. They're not going to give up their seat, And did you hear about AOC and her district? They've taken in so many people into where she's at that they're redoing the districts, and it cut her out a little bit. And the chunk of real estate that she got for her district is actually so small, and it's more Republicans than Democrats. So pretty much, I don't know whoever thought of that great idea, but that was a great idea for them to redo the boundary lines and say, oops, well, I guess you're over there with the Republicans, and I guess you're SOL when it comes to the election this year. But they're a lot of the people around the area that's running against her are really snickering about it, because it's a smaller area, and it's a smaller area to canvass and talk with people. And of course, they're outdoing her on footwork, and I don't see her making it, her or Tlaib or any of them. And it's their own fault. It's their own fault, because they won't leave Washington to go home and fix their districts and fix their cities. Just like Nancy Pelosi, they're crying out there in San Francisco, and she never does anything for it. I even asked my sister, I said, go down to San Francisco and ask what she has done and what bills has she put in, or what has she done for her district to make it better. And they all said the only thing good about Pelosi doing anything is she's staying in Washington, and they don't have to put up with her. So, I think she's a goner too. And there was another story of a dam in Anderson, California. It was built back in the 50s. And the question is where did their infrastructure money go to? Because they got extra, with the fires and to the Orville Dam. that was falling apart, and they got extra infrastructure money to fix some of the dams. Well, Anderson was built in, I want to say 52, and it's close to Silicon Valley, if I remember right. And so what they're going to do is they're going to drain it, because they're in fear if even a 4.0 hits the area, it's gonna crumble the dam, because it's that bad in disrepair, because they never fixed them. They never did the upkeep on them. You know, they make a whole bunch of money, the upper people, you know, the supervisors and the managers, they all get the money, and they don't hire the little guy to maintain the dams out there. And I seen that firsthand with Orville. And because we lived in Orville before we moved back out. We used to go to the dam, and I was like, something just, it didn't look right. There was something about the way the water was flowing, you know, that just didn't look right. And I kept asking one of my neighbors that was part of like city council, and I said, how come the dam looks like that? It shouldn't, I don't think it should look like that. And they said, well, really the city of Orville has never got any funding for the upkeep of the dam. And they actually, because of how bad the state was going into bankruptcy, that they actually let a lot of the people that maintain the dam, they had to let them go because they didn't have the money to pay them anymore. So, and then look what happened. And then I move out here, and it's like 10, 15 years later, or even longer than that, it busted. And so that's what they're afraid with this Anderson Dam, is that they don't want to run into the same thing as the Orville. So they're just going to drain all the water out of it and close it off, and hope maybe they can get the infrastructure money to be able to fix it. And the thing with that is, guess what Nancy Pelosi's sitting on? The infrastructure bills for the states. Her own state is in need of it, and they have most of the dams there were built in the 40s and 50s, and there's just no upkeep on them. And I mean, think of Hoover. If it's the same way, it was built back then too. And a lot of our dams are that way. And I know the one that's here in Conway, thank goodness it looks a little newer, and it looks like the upkeep on it's good. But for California, that's scary, because their infrastructures, which would be your highways, your bridges, and I don't know if y'all remembered when the earthquake hit the Nimbus in San Francisco, and it flattened. The upper deck hit the bottom deck. They found many, many issues that it hadn't been maintained. But, that never made it to the news. But, I found out about it. And
was that with the Northridge earthquake?
I believe so. And, I have been on that many times when I was out there. And, I was always worried about it because, one direction you're on the lower one, and the other direction you're on the upper one. And I believe the one going into San Francisco is the lower one. And after I got off, it was like, no, I don't even want to go back across on that. I'd rather do the Golden Gate than go back over that, because it just didn't look right. I don't know. There was just something about it that you would expect it to collapse like that. And I mean, that was horrifying. That was during the World Series. 1989 World Series is when it happened.
Yeah.
So
New York has bridges like that where they go across above and below.
And that's what Nancy Pelosi's sitting on, is the infrastructures. And it's not just would help California, because it would create jobs. Not only would it create jobs, but it would stop what's going on with the problems they're having. I mean, they get another earthquake in San Francisco. I don't know if a lot of them bridges will hold up. They're scary. They're really scary. Now, last time I was out there, I got to go across the Golden Gate, and it looked okay. And then I got out, and they have like the binocular things that you can look through. And I checked it. You know, I kind of looked all the way across it to see if I could see anything that looked old or rusted, and it looked fine. So, yeah, I just see. I look at stuff like that. I go across the bridge, and I'm scared to death of heights. I get over the other side, and let's check it out. So the next time I go over there, I know I ain't gonna fall. That's just me.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. I got the.
I had too much fun.
I know, but I gotta get.
They can, they can join me in about 30 minutes. Those that got my Facebook, you're sitting on my lap.
I'm trying to show the Never Socialism T-shirt over the whatever furniture that is behind me. It's not mine, it's somebody else's being staged. So if anybody wants the Never Socialism T-shirt, go to nicholslive.com, get a bumper sticker, read Larry's book Under Attack on the website, buy 28 Years to Nowhere on the website nicholslive.com. If you can donate to Larry, send me a text and I'll give you Mark's PayPal account. And he has been quite ill. Mark has been quite ill himself this week, and
that flu out here is horrible. It's horrible.
He's got more than just flu, and I can't remember now what it was that he's got going on. But he's, I think, seeing the doctor, and he's got something serious going on with him. So be praying for him as well. And James had said earlier, let's all spend a couple minutes in prayer. He suggested as soon as the show is over that you spend a few minutes in prayer. Pray for Monty's grandson. Pray for Larry. Pray for our country, of course. Pray for Mark to get better. He needs to be well so he can go back up to Conway and check on things. He was able to see Larry's wife last week just by dropping in. So he hadn't called ahead or anything like that, and he's been trying to get hold of family and has not gotten any answer. So we don't know what's going on. We just keep praying. But remember, I had announced a week or two ago that at 7:00 Eastern, and whatever that time is, whatever your time zone is, there is a national call to prayer at 7 Eastern, 7 days a week, to be praying for the safety of our country. And with the coronavirus, that's one of the areas of safety needed. With the influx of the illegal immigrants, that's another area. One of the things that Governor Abbott had said on his town hall conference call this week, he said they have worked very hard to protect the Texas-Mexico border, and had been quite successful in stopping, a lot of it was coming across. But there's great concern about people coming in sick, and not coronavirus. I mean, who knows what that we thought we had conquered that is still out there in other countries. So, and of course, when you hear about a lot of these diseases are developed in a lab and released somewhere, and it's all about creating vaccines and making money. And so, it's what is it? I'll create the problem because I have the solution for you, and the solution will make me a lot of money. So I'm going to create a problem, and then you're going to come to me for the solution, and they're playing both sides. So,
Anyway, so I'm going to carry on my show if anybody wants to come over and watch. And,
instigators.
She got me. Investigators on Facebook. Yep. It's the one with the fire fist, and I plan on starting about 3:30.
Okay.
And I'm gonna probably carry on with what we were talking about, and because it's pretty much what my show's on. The same thing, infrastructure and earthquakes and a few other things. There's stuff that you mentioned before me about the campaign debates last night, and Bloomberg, and funding some of the Democrats. And so some of it's what you went over and I went over, and some of it's other stuff. I add in like other little stories that are kind of cute. And so, and it's just because I couldn't do my show this morning. So,
And Aileen says that President Trump's supposed to speak tonight. So, Facebook, Randy, investigators. Wait a minute. Is it just investigators? Yeah, it's just investigators on Facebook.
Just investigators on Facebook, and it's the one with the fire fist. So, and I don't normally do one this late in the afternoon, but it just kind of, I didn't my scorekeeping, and then I do this, and then I'm gonna do my show, and I'll be good for the night.
All right, guys. My
God bless you guys.
Plumbing and electrical duties are calling, so I gotta get busy. Glad to have you here. We will talk tomorrow. God bless you all. Bye.